And the woman was like, oh, yes, you are. And that's when I was like, oh, really? Should I call the cops again? Welcome back to another Sunday story time here on the Very Unofficial Travel Guides. You know me, I'm Morgan, and if you didn't know that, then now you do. Your life is different now. That's what Grace Helbig always says, and I like her. I have a lot of things to talk about today, and I'm probably going to be jumping from one topic to another, like I always do. And the story that I want to tell you is about how when I had to call the cops on a Disney vacation. But before I get to that, I wanted to talk about cruising. Because I know that there's a lot of people who watch my videos like to, or are into Disney, as I am, as we are. But more people, many more people, are into cruising. And I know that because when I post a video about Disney, it gets like this many views, and when I post a video about cruising, it gets like this many views. So those are things that I love to do, and I'm glad that I have enough people like you guys to share it with. And so this is going to be a video about cruising and about Disney, and my channel's probably going to explode after this one. This is what I wanted to tell you. I am going to be going on a cruise in like 10 days. 10 days exactly. I need one of those countdown apps. If you guys know of a good one, let me know. Write it in the comments below or tell me on Facebook or whatever. All right, yes. As a surprise to probably a lot of you who have watched a lot of my videos, I'm going to be cruising on the Norwegian Epic again. And the thing that is a surprise, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is they have a really terrible bathroom design. And oh gosh, here I am talking about bathrooms again. I'm sorry. It's just an important thing to me. I like privacy in the bathroom, and you have none of that on the Norwegian Epic. But the thing is, I'm not cruising with Marcus, not because anything bad is going on, but because I want to go with a good friend of mine who I haven't seen in a long time. We've been buddies really for almost 20 years, well, like 15 years. I was best man in his wedding and everything, and after he got married and I moved up to Hamburg and everything, we really don't see a lot of each other anymore. And so we decided we need to do something special and go on vacation together. He's never been on a cruise before, and I wanted to convince him that he would really enjoy it and that it would be something he could do with his family. And we only could get this like block of time off, and this was the only cruise that looked interesting to me. So we're cruising on the Epic again, and we're going to be visiting Cannes, Pisa, Florence, Mallorca, and Barcelona. So what I need from you is, if you have any like tips about what to do in those ports, please get in touch with me. Write it in the comments below. Excuse me. Write it in a message on Facebook or on Patreon or whatever. And I mean, I've got some general ideas, but what I'm looking for now is like really specific things, like go to this restaurant at this address, or go to this, I don't know, this museum to see this exhibit, or things like that. What I don't need is more suggestions like, well, go to the beach. I know, what beach should I go to and how can I get there? Those are the things I'm looking for. All right, 5 minutes into the video and I haven't said anything about the story, so let's get to that. This is really not clickbait. I really did call the cops on a Disney vacation, and it was, it's been a while though. It was like 1998. And it was one of the, no, well, it wasn't really one of the first times. It was my third time, I think, going to Disneyland Paris. I had just moved to Dusseldorf, Germany. If you want to hear about that, look for my video called Why I Left the USA. And my good friend Jenny, who I went to high school with, who I've literally known like almost all my life, she came over to visit me, and we wanted to take a trip down to Paris. And here's the first really strange thing when I look back on it now. I really didn't know a lot about living in Europe at that time. I had been here I think probably like 2 months or 3 months. And what I have to laugh about when I think back on this is at the time, I thought it would be the best way to get from Dusseldorf down to Paris is to rent a car and drive there. Everybody was like, why don't you take the train or why don't you fly? And I was just thinking it'll be much less stressful if we rent a car and drive there, because I was thinking in like USA, Minnesota terms, like if we were going to go to Chicago, we'll just drive there. That's the least expensive and easiest way. I don't know. And now I think I can't believe that I thought that would be less stressful than just getting in the train. Getting in Hamburg or in Dusseldorf and getting out in Paris. It's so easy. Taking the train across Europe is so easy. So anyways, we did it. We rented a car and drove from Dusseldorf down to the area near Paris where we had booked a hotel close to the Disneyland Paris resort. And it was sort of like a cozy bed and breakfast-y inn type place. A couple, maybe 1 or 2 train stops away from the Disneyland resort. And this is, I mean, the Disneyland Paris opened in 1992 and this was 1998, so it was still relatively new. And the area around Disneyland Paris and the train stops close by, it has boomed since then. And back then, there weren't hotels, like modern hotels, all over the place like there are now. At least not ones that we could afford. And I got this tip from a travel agent. We drove down there, found this hotel, checked in. It was actually very cozy. It was very romantic, actually. I mean, there was nothing happening between Jenny and I. Well, not anymore. Anyways, we checked in, got our room, and then on the first day, I think we went down into Paris, took the train down into Paris, and did like touristy sightseeing stuff. And here's an important note about this place. Before this, I had stayed in other smaller hotels, bed and breakfasts, traveling across different European countries, and did like a roller coaster road trip with a friend up in England. And we stayed at several places just like this. And typically, they don't want you to take the room key out of, or back then, at least it was like this. You got a key from the front desk that would open your room. And when you leave, you need to give the key back. And usually, they have like something really inconvenient hanging on the key, so they know you won't take it with you. You know, like some big ball or something. And it was the same way at this resort, at this like inn. There was like, I want to say it was like a big fake pine cone or something on there. And that for me was the sign, oh, this is one of those places as well that when you leave, you give your key up at the front desk, and when you come back, you tell them you're back, and they give it back to you. And I had done that at so many other places, so it didn't seem strange to me. However, Jenny was like, this is weird. Why are we giving them our key back? Isn't this going to be a problem? And I was like, Jenny, I've done this so many times. Don't worry about it. This is how you do it. And she's like, okay. And so, like I said, first day went in the city, came back, said, hi, we're back, got our key, went into the room, and everything was cool. Then the next day, we were going to Disneyland Paris. And I remember specifically, in the morning, when we were leaving, asking whoever was at the front desk, saying, we're going to Disneyland today, and we're probably going to be late. Do you know when is the last train back here so we don't get stuck? Because even though we had rented a car, why did we do that? Even though we rented a car, we decided not to drive to Disneyland Paris. We decided to just take the train. So we did so many things wrong. Anyways, asking the person at the front desk about when is the last train because we're going to be out late. And they looked in the timetable and told me when the last train was. And then I gave them the key and said thank you. and we left. So that person knew we were planning on being out late. That person knew that we may be taking the last train back, and that person knew what time it was. But that person did not tell me that after a certain time period, or after a certain time, nobody's at the front desk anymore, and they lock the front door. Alarm, alarm, alarm. So what should have happened is that person should have said, but if you're going to be out that late, then I need to give you a separate key so you can get back into the hotel, and you need to take your room key with you because nobody's here after 11 o'clock or whatever. And I've had exactly that happen at other places, so I know that that's the way that it worked back then, at least, at these kind of small, like mom and pop inns. But this person didn't do that. This person, like I said, knew all that and was just like, bye-bye, have a good time. And we went out and had a fantastic day at the Disneyland Resort. It was so fun doing that with my old friend Jenny and showing her around, all this stuff. I'm pretty sure it was the first time she had ever been to a Disney park. And I mean, who wouldn't want to go to a Disney park with me, right? Yeah, and we had a great time. We're then, at the end of the day, we were both just so tired because we really did like opening to close. It was probably 10 to 10. And back then, I mean, I was much more hardcore than I am now. It was like, I don't think we even sat down to eat. I would be like, all right, let's get a piece of pizza and we'll eat it waiting in line for Space Mountain. And yeah, I'm sure it was a very exhausting day. So then we, with our last, bit of strength that we can muster, we go back into the train, ride it the 2 or 3 stops out, get out, it was a long walk back to where the inn was, get there, yeah, and then we realize we're locked out. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, this can't be happening. I mean, it was probably like, 11 o'clock at night, and we're in the middle of like the French countryside in this tiny little dorf, and we're locked out. And what are we gonna do? I mean, nowadays I would have been like, all right, well, let's just take the train. Well, no, we couldn't take the train back. Yeah, but we had a car. Gosh, we did so many things wrong. Nowadays, I would have just gotten in the car and drove back down close to Disneyland and found a hotel there and just put it on my credit card. But like I said, I was young. I was not as experienced in traveling, and definitely not in a European country and not in a country that I didn't speak the language. And I was broke, so I was worried about how much this was all costing. Nowadays, like I said, I would just go find another hotel, put it on my credit card, and think, all right, well, we'll deal with this tomorrow. I mean, that's basically what we had to do. And I remember that, of course, as the moment we realized we were locked out, Jenny was like, I told you we were supposed to take the key with us. Which I totally understand now. By the way, I forgot to mention it. If my eyes look weird to you, because they definitely feel weird, it's because we went to the movies last night and saw Valerian, which was fantastic, by the way. And because it's a 3D movie, I put in contact lenses because it's annoying to put the 3D glasses over my normal glasses. Excuse me. And because I hardly ever wear contacts, I forgot to take them out, and I went to bed with contacts in my eyes. And I woke up this morning, I was like, gosh, what is going on with my eyes? So if my eyes look weird, that's why. Anyways, back to the story. So Jenny flipping out, totally upset, saying it's all your fault. And I mean, I guess it kind of was. But like I said, in that sense, it wasn't, because the person at the front desk in the morning had all the facts and should have told us to take the key with, or given us the extra key for the front door. So we're standing there, and there was a doorbell, and we were ringing it and ringing it and ringing it and ringing it, and we could hear it ringing inside, and it was loud. And my thoughts were, eventually some other guest is gonna wake up and come looking and be like, what the hell is going on? But it didn't happen. And like I said, I was we were just inexperienced, and I didn't know what else to do. And there was a payphone on the outside of the thing, and I called the cops. They came and were very nice and spoke English, obviously. I mean, Jenny and I both don't and didn't speak French. Well, Jenny spoke a little bit of French, but I mean, not enough to really help us in a situation like that. So the police came, or we got in the car and followed the police to the next little village, because like I said, where we were, there was nothing. There was like 4 or 5 buildings, and one of them was this inn, and then the train station was, you know, like a 15-20 minute walk. So they took us to a hotel, the police. They explained to the front desk what had happened, and the people at the front desk in this other hotel were very friendly, very nice, and they gave us a room for the night, and of course we had to pay for it. I mean, they would have no reason to give us the room for free. Just realized it's getting dark outside. I'd noticed how the light just changed in here. Did you see it? So at that point, Jenny is not talking to me anymore, and I can understand it now. And it just ruined such a great day that's how it ended. You know, being locked out, getting in this argument, having to call the cops. I mean, we both didn't have any money, and you know, thinking now we're gonna have to pay for another hotel room, and it was just really a bummer. And then, you know, like we were in the clothes that we were wearing all day. They were all, you know, sweaty, you know, like from a day at the park. We couldn't brush our teeth. I mean, maybe the front desk had, you know, like toothbrushes and stuff like that, but I didn't think to ask. I just remember we got to the hotel, or we got up in the room, and I think we just went to bed without talking to each other, and that's how the night ended. And it was such a disappointment. And there wasn't really any relief, because I thought, now tomorrow in the morning, we have to go back there and then deal with this hotel. And that's what we did. We woke up, hadn't brushed our teeth, and drove back to the other inn. And we walked in there, and I was trying to tell Jenny, just stay calm. Let's not be aggressive. Let's just tell them what happened and clear this up. And she's like, fine. Went to the front desk, and I said, we have a slight problem. And the person who I met was like, yeah, one moment, please. And went and got like the main owner or whatever, this woman. And the woman was like, yes, we know you have a problem. The police were here today. And she was mad at us. She was like, you're causing me problems by calling the police, and that's bad reputation for my business. And I was like, yeah, well, your business locked out guests for the night. And she was like, yes, but if you're staying out after hours, you should take the key with you. And I said, yeah, obviously I know that now, but why didn't the person who was working here yesterday, who knew we were going to be out late, tell us to take the key with us? And she was like, oh, don't be ridiculous. You should know that yourself. And yeah, I guess I should know. But on the other hand, it's not normal that a hotel locks their doors at a certain time and there's nobody there to let paying guests in. So Jenny was like, then Jenny piped in, at least this is how I remember it, and she's like, we're not staying here another night, and we're not paying for last night either. And the woman was like, oh, yes, you are. And that's when I was like, oh, really? Should I call the cops again? And then she had a long discussion with the other person there in French, which I didn't understand anything of. And because what she wanted was, she not only wanted for us to pay for the night, for like last night, but she also wanted us to pay for the next 2 nights that we said we were going to stay, because she's like, I'm not going to, I can't get anybody else into your room now. It was booked, and now it's going to be free, and that's not fair. Which I guess I can understand, but I wasn't going to pay for it. And so we had an argument about that as well, and then we came to the agreement that she would that we didn't have to pay for the next 2 nights if we left, but that we do have to pay for the night, like last night. You know what? This argument happened after we had gone up to the room and packed our bags and decided we weren't going to be staying there anymore. Because we went back down, put all our stuff in the car, and then we went and had the conversation about how we're not going to pay for the next 2 nights and all that. Because what happened then, at the end of that argument, Jenny was going to pay for it with her credit card. And I remember we came to the conclusion, not paying for those 2 nights, but paying for last night. And Jenny was like, fine, and gave her the card, and she ran it and signed it, and then Jenny was like, and we are never coming here again. I mean, obviously, but she said something like, you know, when I think back on it now, kind of silly. Sorry, Jenny, but you know what the situation was like. But she's like, and we're never coming back here again. And she grabbed my arm and she's like, let's go. And we stormed out the door, and then we heard the woman calling back to us saying, Miss, and we were like, let's not turn around. And then she came out after us and she's like, Miss, do you want to take your credit card with you? So, yeah, just a little bit of embarrassment at the end. And that's my story of calling the cops at a Disney vacation. What a stupid thing. Gosh, it all could have gone so much better, and that would never happen to me now. I would do it all differently now. But I feel like the person who has the most fault in this situation was the person working at the desk that morning when I said we were going to be coming back late. They should have informed me properly. All right, that is this Sunday story time. Whenever I sit down here, I always think, all right, I need to keep it short this time. And then here I am, like probably 20 minutes later. Thanks for watching. As always, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can give me a little bit of extra support and get some extra videos as well over at patreon.com/veryunofficial. Special thanks to all the VIPs and everybody who supports me on Patreon. I really, really mean that. There's going to be more Disney videos coming up, more Disneyland Paris, and then in like 2 weeks, I'll be on the Epic. So look forward to those videos as well. See you later.